Subscribing to The Observer on YouTube couldn't be easier, and we're going to show you exactly how to do that. First, navigate to www.youtube.com/theobservernj. Once you get there, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Next to the subscribe button, click the down arrow and then all. And that's it. You're subscribed, and now anytime The Observer is live, you will be notified. Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you live from the home studio today on this, the second day of September in the year 2025. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesdays, no matter where it is you are in the country, and certainly hope you enjoyed a beautiful Labor Day weekend. What a beautiful weather weekend it was here in the Northeast, and I had a great Labor Day weekend, and certainly hope that all of you did as well. We have a lot to get to today, so I want to start off with what you already see on the screen. There is a trivia night coming up on October 10th. The auxiliary of the American Legion, the Women's Auxiliary, is hosting this at the American Legion Post on Belgrove Drive on the 10th of October from 7 to 10 p.m. And there are still tickets available. I've gone to this before, and we'll be going again this year. I'm looking forward to this. Any trivia nights are always enjoyable. So if you are so inclined to want to go to a trivia night, and it's certainly for a good cause, head on over to Facebook and go to the auxiliary Facebook page for the Kearny American Legion Post 314, and you can find ticket information there. You can buy tickets for members of the auxiliary. Melanie Ryan, you could certainly reach out to her, and she will be able to sell you tickets for that. And all the information about the night is on the website when you go over to Facebook. So check that out when you get a chance. That, of course, is coming up on October 10th. But there are a few other things that are coming up much sooner, including tonight. The Coots will be playing tonight at 6:30 p.m. at Arlington Depot Park. This is an annual affair for the Coots. They're always in Kearny and in the area, and it's a very nice outing, nice night out at Arlington Depot Park. Usually the Greeks remain open on concert nights. I'm not 100% sure if they will be. If anybody's in the chat room and knows the answer to this, please let us know. But oftentimes they're open, so if you want to get something to eat while you're there, bring your own lawn chairs, of course, because it's just a grass field. There are no chair setups. You're going to have to bring your own chairs, and there is no cost. So I hope if you're considering going, you do. Yeah, just go. It's a very, very nice night. And then in a couple of days, on Friday, September 5th, at 7:45 p.m. also at Arlington Depot Park. The Kearny Recreation Department, Ralph Kataffi, does a great job always with the Recreation Department. The movie Wicked will be shown. Let's hope the weather cooperates this time, because there have been so many cancellations over the last couple of weeks for concerts and movie nights and things of that nature. But this is a make-up date. I believe it is on Friday at 7:45 over at Arlington Depot Park. So if you do get a chance, you want to take the kids out and see an interesting movie, here it is in Wicked. That, of course, again, is Friday at 7:45 p.m. in the evening. Now, I want to talk to you about something that is very heartbreaking, but also uplifting in its own way. The man whose face you see right here on the screen is Brian O'Hara. Brian O'Hara is the police chief in Minneapolis. And he is also, which I think most people are starting to become aware now, if they haven't already, that Brian is a graduate of the Kearny High School class of 1997. And he ascended the ranks with the Newark Police Department very, very quickly, and he was also the civilian director of the Newark Police Department. And then, shortly after the whole George Floyd situation happened in Minneapolis, he was hired by Mayor Jacob Frey to become the police chief in Minneapolis, and he has done just absolutely brilliant work in the time that he has spent as the chief of police in Minneapolis. But why do I bring this up? Because you will recall last week at the Church of the Annunciation was on August 27th. 2 children were killed and 21 people were injured. You know, this is something that we're just going to talk about over and over, and nothing ever gets done. It's a horrible thing what happened in Minneapolis, but Brian O'Hara was absolutely inspiring over those days where he was on TV across the country, and he was giving news conferences constantly in the aftermath of this horrible, horrible shooting. And, you know, it's as horrible and as wicked as it was what happened in Minneapolis. Good things often do come out of terrible moments, and you see it in a person like Brian O'Hara, who had his roots right here in the town of Kearny, made his way up in the Newark Police Department, and is now leading the Minneapolis Police Department. He really did Kearny proud during last week's tragedy in Minneapolis, and I thought it was very important for us to kind of remember him today for all the great work that he's done under some of the more trying circumstances. Can you imagine that his first couple of weeks on the job was to deal with the George Floyd murder case, and he's dealt with just the day before this shooting in this school where two beautiful young children were killed. He dealt with another shooting outside of Cristo Rey Jesuit High School in Minneapolis, where 6 people were shot and 1 person was killed. It wasn't in the school per se, but 2 days in a row, he had to deal with a mass shooting, one of which, of course, involved these poor children. So you want to talk about somebody who has done some incredible, incredible things in his time since he left Kearny. This is a prime example. Brian O'Hara, the chief of the Minneapolis Police Department. We think of him today, and we think of him always for all the great work that he has done out there, and hope he never has to deal with something like this ever again. My God. Imagine that. And that's why sometimes I get you hear people saying, well, we have to pray for these people. They were praying while this all happened. They were praying while all this happened. Just think of that. Just think of that for a second. So there he is, Brian O'Hara, the chief of the Minneapolis Police Department. Now, I have been talking about this for a couple of weeks in a row, and finally, over the weekend, the Kearny PBA hosted its haircut drive, and it all took place over at the VFW post on Belgrove Drive. You see some familiar faces in that picture, including my own self. That is David Crenshaw, the commander of the VFW post 1302. Councilman George Zapata is also there. That's Assemblywoman Barbara McCann Stamato, in case you missed that. Deputy Mayor Melanie Ryan, and of course PBA President Mina Claudius. All these kids were coming in. They had a great day. And each person who got a haircut, the family saved $35 on getting a haircut because it was all covered. Every single part of it was covered. So there you see it right here. Mina did a great job pulling this together. The students whose cuts were given were from Washington School, Franklin School, and the East Newark Public School. They also had the ice cream truck over there, so everybody got some kind of nice refreshments. Some of us don't need them, but got them anyway. But it was a really great day, and it was really an intuitive way for the PBA to give back to the community. So take a look at that. That was Saturday afternoon over at the VFW, and great job by Mina Claudius and PBA number 21 for pulling this off. Now, we have heard about a lot of backpack drives with the Kearny Public School Uniform Exchange. And then, of course, Grace United Methodist Church also did one last week as well. And the Harrison East Newark Elks also gave out backpacks to the children of Harrison and East Newark there. You see a family right there, and they have their new items in hand. And with them are Larry Kelly, the past exalted ruler of the Elks, and also Harrison Councilman Larry Bennett, who himself is also a past exalted ruler of the Harrison East Newark Elks. And they were able to give out tons and tons of backpacks to the people of Harrison. And Larry tells me it was a great afternoon when everybody was getting them, and all the kids leave so happy because they get to choose which ones they want to. They don't just get handed something, as was the case with the Kearny Public School Uniform Exchange backpack giveaway. They get a chance to pick which ones they want that are more appropriate for them, so that you don't have a kid getting a mismatched bag. So great job by the Harrison East Newark Elks. They continue to do tremendous work over there. Larry and the two Larrys and the crew over there at the Harrison and East Newark Elks. Now, this is one of those cool stories. I want you to take a look at this picture here. On the left is Sergeant Junior Fiore of the East Newark Police Department. Right next to him is Jaden Fiore, his son. And Jaden is going to start in a couple of days the Newark Police Academy, where he will be trained to become an East Newark police officer. Now, before I get further, that, of course, is Mayor Dina Grillo right next to Jaden, and that's Sergeant Billy Arizuma right there with them. Now, I don't know if this is the first time a father and son have ever done this, have ever been on the job concurrently. But I love this story like this, where you see a son following in his dad's footsteps to become a police officer in the same community. This is really cool. You know, we've seen it in Kearny many times. There's a lot of people who have followed in their dad's footsteps. I could probably list off 30 names of father-son combinations. But I just don't know if this is the first time this has happened in East Newark. Maybe it did before, but either way, it's unbelievable to see that Jaden is following in his dad Junior's footsteps. And when it comes to solid people, Jaden, I'm sure, will be in good hands with his dad, because Junior is a tremendous human being, as is Billy Arizona and Mayor Grillo as well. But he'll start the academy, and then in 6 months, when he is completed, God willing, it'll be father and son on the same police department here in East Newark. Oh, yes, and of course, Carol Manley reminds me her dad and her brother were on together in North Arlington. That's absolutely right. Of course, how could I ever forget that? Ed and John Hearn at the same time in North Arlington, and John went on to become the chief, and I believe Ed was the deputy chief too. Carol, you correct me. So they certainly ascended the ranks, the Hearn family in the borough of North Arlington. So some great stuff in East Newark and all around. Now, just briefly, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about from this week's edition of The Observer. The lead story this week is that Governor Murphy has written to the FAA to ask the FAA to curb helicopter traffic in South Kearny, almost to eliminate it. But what I found comical about the governor's statement is that a couple of months ago, we even reported this. Hudson County Executive Craig Guy and Mayor Carol Jean Doyle had already met with the heliport operators and come to an agreement that there would be a severe cutback in helicopter traffic leaving the South Kearny heliport going into Manhattan. But it was nice of Governor Murphy to think about getting in touch with the FAA. I don't know how this crap works, where something's already in place and then he gets in touch with the FAA, but I guess it certainly solidifies what Mayor Doyle and the county executive had already done. But it, of course, was a couple of months after the fact, and you can read the story in this week's edition of The Observer. But, I thought it was important to point out the reality that while Governor Murphy did, in fact, reach out to the new commissioner of the Federal Aviation Administration, this is something that was already well in the works, thanks to Mayor Doyle and County Executive Craig Guy. So we'll see what the ultimate conclusion is with this, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. But for those of you who are concerned about helicopter traffic, I would imagine it is going to be curtailed seriously now that the FAA is getting involved. Now, the second story on the front page of this week's edition of The Observer. I was driving into work a couple of days ago, and I guess it was obviously August 27th, and I noticed that over by the Jones Memorial Bridge, which it connects over by Kosher Realty just before, if you're traveling north, St. Stephen's Church and the Presbyterian Church. Saw a whole bunch of police cars. I'm wondering, like, what the hell is going on over there? There's a lot of action. 3 different individuals were pulled over by the Kearny Police Department. They were getting tickets. Well, turns out that the Kearny Police Department enacted an enforcement blitz on people who do not yield in crosswalks. This is a serious thing, folks. Like people sometimes will. The pedestrian has the right of way in the crosswalk, and people never stop. They just don't. They do not ever stop. So during this small period of time on the 27th, 39 summonses were issued for people who did not follow the crosswalk rules and regulations. Great job. Absolutely great job by the Kearny Police Department. I had a chat with former Chief John Dowie. He said that he had heard from Sergeant John Fabulous. They were looking to maybe get 40, and they were pretty damn close, just one short. Not that there's a goal or anything on something like this, but they still did a phenomenal job getting the people who violate this. So, folks, please be careful, especially this time of year when there are children out more. We already see it today. You already, and the charter school was open last week as well. So you see so many more people. Pay very close attention to these crosswalks and yield to pedestrians who are crossing. God forbid we ever have a serious accident. I don't think anybody would ever want to have to deal with that. But again, great job getting these 39 people summoned for the things that they did, and we'll see. Okay. All right, now don't forget, we have 2 pages of classifieds in the back of the paper this week, so that if you're looking for a place to live or a job, you got plenty of opportunities in this week's edition of The Observer. And Jason Bernstein, as he does each and every week, has 3 sports stories, so make sure you check those out. And that's it. We are done for today. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. I see a few people who are in the chat room. I know Carol Manley, whose birthday is coming up in a couple of weeks, is here with us. Alexis Sheridan is here. Jenny Paz. And Lori Brado is also here, and Manny Ventoso is also here as well with us. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to everybody during the course of the broadcast, but I wanted to get through all this. So thank you all for being here, and anybody who's hiding I shouldn't say hiding, that's not nice, but anybody who is in the background and not chatting in the chat room, thank you for joining us as you do every week. You could be doing so many other things, but you are instead right here with us. We will be back 1 week from today, but of course, if any news breaks, we will let you know. And I'm working with Tony Mondero to figure out how we're going to handle his weather reports, because he's going back to work and back to school now. So we will come up with a solution. I think we're going to record his broadcast on Mondays. We didn't do it this week because of the holiday, but I think we're going to record it on Mondays and then show it to you on Tuesdays when we go live here on the Observer Live. So we will not let you down. Tony will still be with us, but it will be starting again next week. From the home studio, it's Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesdays, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.